Oh, here we are. Oh, there's people. This is nice. Hello. How is everybody doing today? Uh, oh, boy. Yes. Person, I know. I'm here. Um, so we got cookies today, and this is probably going to be the closest to actual real life mayhem because I have no idea what I'm doing with all of this stuff. I have a lot of stuff here that I've not used. This is it's called black icing, ready to roll. It's the fondant stuff, and it's a brick. So this is going to be interesting for all of us to experience, and we shall see what comes out. I did pre-make the cookie dough because when you roll out cookies, um, this type of dough, especially because it's got butter and chocolate in it, if it gets at room temp, it's going to melt, and we don't want it to kind of goo. I know. Uh, but so it's cold. I just pulled out of the fridge. We've got to go a few minutes, but let me get my apron and we shall get started. I guess this is as good a time as any to. It is a Dune T-shirt. Let's see, it is a Dune T-shirt. I need more. I need more nerd merch. But before we get started, I did set up some stuff on Twitch finally. Oh, goodness. Because of people been asking me. Uh, I get disorganized. If you are on Twitch and want to know more about my merch, it's exclamation point merch. It should pop up the little doohickey thingy for you. If you are interested in my Discord, it's also on there, exclamation point Discord. Ta-da! Oh, I'm so special. I also have one. Yeah, we do need some Wiki merch. You're gonna have to harass Mojo for that one, though. That's his domain. Hopefully, I know there's been lots of demand for stuff. I also have, for mostly my cooking stream portion, I have a wish list on Amazon, so it's exclamation point wish list. If you are interested in helping me, it's mostly cookbooks and some equipment and stuff for the kitchen. Um, Also, there is exclamation point donate, which is my um, PayPal, because shit costs money, and I won't say no to help getting ingredients. And last but not least, there is it's exclamation point Dune purchase, and that is my link to Zola, which is sponsored through this thing with Funcom. So if yay ads, um, if you are looking to purchase the game, it doesn't cost you anything extra. I get a little kickback from Funcom for doing that. It's the same purchase, it's the same options as you would if you bought it through Steam. It just helps me a little bit. Oh no, you're back to a basic person. You lost your sub. That does happen. So all of that was housekeeping I was going to do. So far, I wanted to thank Vaz, Variable Ian, and SACTAP for purchasing so far. I really appreciate it. So people have gifted me some lovely stuff like this, which is excruciatingly going to be helpful. And yeah, it's going to be good. So tonight we're going to try making Maud'Dib cookies and Spiceblow cookies. And basically, we're going to use chocolate chip cookie dough because I thought it would be easiest. It's one I know very well. It's an easy recipe to make. You could do this with sugar cookie dough or plain cookie dough, but I thought it would be fun to do because it'll give a little texture and a little uh, flavor. What do you? uh, Oh, baking strawberry shortcakes. Yes, yes. We met today. She she bakes also. So whenever I posted my ad in the off topic, she was like, "What?" So I warn you, I'm not a professional cook. I'm not a professional baker. I'm a professional mess maker, really, and it's going to be hopefully very interesting. Um, this should be warm-ish here in a minute, but while that's coming to a better temperature, that I was looking some ways to keep these from spreading because that's a concern whenever you use a cookie cutter is to chill the fuck out of it, roll it minimally, and essentially handle it minimally, and make sure that the oven is preheated appropriately before sticking everything in. My There are no Maud'Dib cookie cutters, and I look for the little desert mouse cookie cutter. Can't find one. The closest thing you find is Mickey Mouse, and I don't want Mickey Mouse. So we have a plain cookie cutter here. We'll play around and see if I can't make some better ears for him. But I have a little Maud'Dib cookie cutter. And I have for the spice cookies, they're going to be chocolate chip cookies, but I have a couple of different kinds of purplish, the right color crystals. We have some really fine ones, the round ones, and these are a little more crystally looking, so we can decorate like the Spiceblows that we had in the game. That's the hope. We have those, and I have also for the Maud'Dib cookies. These are googly eye things from Halloween. The light is too bright; you can't see them really well, but the little eyes, so you can do bugs and things. So you just got. I don't know. If this is my kitchen. This is what you see is what you get. You got fancy gear, and I got. I do need someone to. I was talking to my son about that today. I was like, I wonder if we could find somebody, but I don't know how often I'll make these, so I didn't really check too much on it. But this one is pretty basic. It's got a little eye thing in it, so we'll see how it does. I've got the fondant stuff, which could be too sweet and not very usable. I don't know. We'll find out. I have some these colored flavored gels. We've got milk chocolate, white chocolate, dark chocolate, and caramel, so we can see what kind of decorating we can do. I have some regular frosting that I might dig into, and I have this stuff. I've never used it before. It's glaze, and I can tell even at room temperature, it's not liquidy. It's kind of gelatinous, I guess. It's definitely amorphous. I can feel it shift a little bit, so that might not work too well on cookies, but we shall see. Things that also recommended to keep your cookies from spreading too much was to use parchment paper, which I already do, because if you put butter or anything oily or whatever on the pan, it's going to encourage spreading. And what else? Again, we're just going to try to handle them as minimally as possible, and we're going to cross our fingers and toes. Thank you for reminding me. Better? Can you hear me a little better? Can you hear me now? We're going to try and make some cookies. So, but yes, 3D printer would be awesome for stuff like this. It'd be really cool. Okay. All right, there. Shameless plug. We got it over with. I can't remember the last time I made rolled out cookies, so this could be very, very interesting. My silicone mat from when we made the sweet rolls. This thing is so nice. You shall give this a go. Yep, that's still quite cold. That's okay. Oh yeah, that's like a brick. I remember when I was growing up, it was very, I guess, if you could buy the cookie dough in the tubes, that was like, the thing that everybody wanted because the cookie recipe was always just right and you could just cut them up, and we never got those. I didn't get to make cookies much at home, but yeah. I ended up eating most of the sweet rolls by myself, by the way. Like you need reasons to buy stuff. The cookies must flow. Yes. Someone was asking about, they're half joking. Well, I think they're mostly joking about shipping cookies. I'm like, I've thought about it, but I don't have easy access to a post box. And then there's the whole expense of international shipping and stuff. Hey, Paolo made it. Um, so this is about a millimeter. So we're going to try this. And let's see how we can do this. It did warn not to roll out too much because you're trying to avoid creating the, I guess it's secondary gluten. I guess you don't want to create the thicker bonds like you do. I mean, if you're kneading bread, because that doesn't that'll make it for a tough cookie. So let's, oh lordy, see what we can do. This one, oh goodness, I'm having regrets. I'm having serious regret. When I say I have no clue what I'm doing, I have no clue what I'm doing. I need to figure a way to get camera closer to here. It's perched very precariously, so I'm a little nervous about moving that. Precariously perched. How's that? Okay. I'm also a little not as close to the light, so it's not. I don't look quite so ghost-like. I am this pale, but not glowy. I'm more the anemic, sickly pale, not the angelic, ghostly pale. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Said if you're a professional baker, I'm sorry. I'm apologizing ahead of time. I roll this out. This is very sticky, and I'm very concerned because I don't want to add extra flour to it. So I might need to give that a moment more for it to cool off because it's sticking really hard to this metal, or to warm up rather. I don't want to. It's going to give that just a second. People doing stuff. What are people doing? What's going on? What are we? She knows now. This is this is from making bread. That's what that's bread making. Don't worry about it. Now I'm worried about it. I always worry. You know this. I have anxiety. If there's a thing to worry about, I will worry about it. If there's not a thing to worry about, I'll think I've forgotten something and I'll worry about that. I'm going to let that warm up for just a moment more and we'll try again. We're all a little expensive. It's just fit that way. This is, yeah, I don't know. It's that's my baker bicep, and that's from making just bread, kneading bread. I like making bread. It's very zen, and I have a very easy recipe, but it's a long rise time. Why not add flour? I don't. Okay, so I don't know the science, and the other baker here can probably add more to it, but the instructions I was given for rolling these out and not having them spread was not to add extra flour to it, not to handle them too much, because then you start creating that secondary gluten, which will make them tough. And we don't want tough cookies. We want soft cookies. So I'm going to let it sit for a moment. My part of it is it's really, really cold, and that is a metal rolling pin. So I don't want it to stick. But yeah, flour, if I were doing anything else, I probably would use flour, but I don't want to just yet. This is silicon. It shouldn't stick to that either, but I think it's just because it's really, really cold, which we want it because I don't want it to spread. Because my concern is once I do the cookie, is I'll put it in the oven and it'll just turn into kind of a blob. I think the last time I made um, cookies, it's got to be close to 2 decades. So I want to be very careful. I'm not good at decorating stuff. My handwriting is very German. For those of you who are German, you know what that looks like. I decorate things that look like German handwriting, so I want things to look nice. That's so we're gonna get. I'm gonna try and do this right. I tend to get lazy and tend to get too fast with things. So, but yeah, I'm trying to listen to the dough. If it's, I don't want to handle it too much because again, we don't want it to be sticky. We don't want it to be goopy. Except put their rolling pin in the freezer. That is actually not a bad idea. So it'd be the same temperature as the dough, and so it wouldn't stick. That's actually really smart. That's an engineering answer. And now I know. I told you guys I'm not a professional. I'm faking this shit as I go. Baking the bacon. Let's see if that's a little softer yet. That's still quite cold. So I think what I'm going to end up doing for the Spiceblow cookies, I'm just going to roll some balls and kind of flatten those out a little bit. One of the things I saw for round cookies is they don't actually roll a round cookie, but roll an oblong cookie, and that way, as it heats, it still stays thick instead of spreading out. So actually, let me try that. Let me wash my hands again. Is that a still raw egg? I'm resisting the urge to eat the dough. You don't know how badly I want to eat this cookie dough. I do have a soft spot for sweets. I have a little bit of a carb addiction. Hello, my name is Meg, and I like the sugar. Okay, let me go ahead and set up the round cookies. Yay, we like it when people are able to make it. And my stuff that has seen things. This particular roll doesn't roll so well. It's had some experiences, but that's okay. It still doesn't need to do. It's still a trooper. All right, like same paper, same. Gonna be one of those streams. That fling shit into the floor. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. What would y'all do without a little mayhem, right? Kind of the point. But yeah, this is generic chocolate chip cookie dough. You can find the recipe probably anywhere online. It's probably very similar to what you get if you're in the States on the back of the Toll House cookie things. It's probably similar to that. It's not a fancy one. It's a lot of sugar. That's what it is. I We discovered that with the noise filtering when I ran the blender the other day for the sweet rolls, and then again the little hand stick wand blender thing for the chicken. So I'm really pleased with that because for Restream there's no gating or anything. That's all mic hardware. I'm trying not to hit the floor. I've got a foot up next to the cabinet here, so I'm good. And I have my chair if I get dizzy because a vertigo does. I say if I get dizzy, I'm pretty much dizzy all the time. That's just I exist in dizzy, to be honest. And um, yeah, it's just the nature of the beast. So I'm going to roll a little bit of this into the hand stuff. Yeah, that's just cold now. It's not horrible. Don't let the bodies hit the floor. It's raining. Speaking of bodies and things, Dune coming. There was a hot fix, or not fix, it was a patch update thing for Conan today, and Dune hits live next week. Kind of excited about that. Yeah, hip up against the counter. I'm good. So I'm going to make these a little kind of eggy looking, little oblong shape. so that they hopefully stay pretty thick. I don't want them to spread out too much. We want nice thick cookies. This will, however, impact my cooking time. So I'm going to have to really kind of eyeball the cookies as they cook. I know. It is exciting times. I was talking to some of the beta players today, NDA being what it is, and I said, we're kind of coming up to the end of the beginning, and that's a wild feeling. It's been a long road, and a lot has changed, and a lot of yeah, it's been a thing. Yeah, they are little thick cookies. We're gonna give that a go. We're experimenting. This is experimenting. Um, I am gonna flatten them out a little bit, I think, because I think those might. I'm worried about those cooking all the way through. The more I look at them, and we don't want salmonella. I was thinking about that. We cue your Star Trek. I think I'm the only person that actually liked the intro to that. I didn't watch all of the seasons for that one. I caught like the first bit, and then I caught like the end bit where they did the alternate universe thing because they were like, "Fuck it, we can do whatever we want." But yeah, it was very ballady, and it didn't quite fit with the. I think that was part of why it didn't do well. People had the expectations of what Star Trek was going to be, and that wasn't it. And I'm really surprised Discovery did as well as it did because that was not Star Trek to me. That it felt like Farscape in Star Trek uniforms. It was too trippy for me, and I'm like this. It didn't feel right. I don't know how to put that. I couldn't watch it. I watched the first season, and it just I don't know. I just didn't like it. I appreciate that they were trying something new, and I liked the idea of it. It's just that what was on my screen, I didn't always like to see. Rick Berman Enterprise, because yeah, there was a lot of back and forth towards the end with Roddenberry and what they could do and what they couldn't do and what they were willing to risk with CBS, what they weren't, and we saw a lot of stuff in Next Gen that was unresolved, but they really pushed things in DS9 in lots of ways. But yeah, I watched the first season of Discovery, and I kind of liked it. It didn't feel like Star Trek to me, but I liked it, if that makes sense. I don't recall much of the second season. I don't recall why I stopped watching. And I haven't seen Picard. I don't have subscriptions and things like that. So that's okay. Yeah, that's a lot more malleable there. She says that she rolls this. Holy shit balls! This may not work like I hoped. I may have to kind of pat it down and call it good. We shall see. There may not be as many Maud'Dib cookies as I'd hoped. people, people sharing stuff again. Thank you. That's very kind. It's always a nice feeling, especially having to avoid the ads. That's that's yeah. I'm not. Excuse me. I'm not digging how this is turning out, guys. The dough doesn't roll out smooth like a cookie like a sugar cookie does. It's not meant to, but I was hoping to get something a little flatter at least. We shall see. So I'm trying to roll it too much, but I'm not feeling very confident with what I got here. I'm not ready to throw in the towel just yet. It's a little thicker than I like. Hold on. We improvise, adapt, and overcome. She says. And she's looking at this like I can't even see the mat. That's my vision is really bad. It's a big blur from here. Okay. Nope, that's not gonna work. Well, it will work, but it's not enough cookie underneath the back underneath there. I need more. Okay, there we go. Try this again. Do be careful if you're using a silicone mat because you can cut through them. This is a very dull butter knife. And we're going to pretend like we're playing Play-Doh again. All that time I spent working with children with Play-Doh is playing off, right? Did you know, teaching moment, one of the reasons that teachers, when you have a little kid, sends home in their little reports whether your kid can color in the lines or not is it's not about being neat per se, but if you have a child who is consistently struggling to do anything within the lines, cut straight lines, color in the lines, cut Play-Doh or anything like that, it could mean they have something like dyslexia or dyspraxia because the same fine motor skills in the brain that cut and color and all those things are the same motor skills that your eyeballs need to read with. And if you struggle with fine motor skills, you may struggle with reading. So assessing fine motor skills is more than just, can they color neat? Or the reason that they're doing stuff with the scissor cutouts of stars or stringing beads and things like that is more than just making cutesy artsy stuff. Is to assess, is there a fine motor skill problem that we need to address before the child moves on and struggles with reading? Because if they struggle with reading early on, they're going to struggle all the time. And motivation is key. If they struggle and don't get it addressed, then you'll never get them. Fuck, that's going to come apart. It's too sticky. It's coming apart from the thing. So we got well. Who all did we get here? Let me try something. Instead of trying it on the silicone thing, let me try it on here. Oops. We have chaos. That is what we have here. Okay, so I'm gonna instead of rolling it, we're gonna beat the fucker down into. Let's try that on the paper instead of the silicone. No, you don't know how hard this is for me not to go. I mean, it's only my kid that's going to eat it, but still, it's the idea of food hygiene is important. Okay, so let's try it this way. On paper, see if it works any better. It's also a little warmer now. It's definitely softening up. We made it have gooey cookies. Oh no, gooey cookies. We shall see. This is the mayhem part, right? Chaos, mayhem. Okay, that didn't do it either. The only other thing I can think of is we're gonna make a body. we're gonna put some ears on it, and yeah, let's try this. Poor and force control wins. Okay. uh, I came apart. This is definitely warming up fast. That's a problem. I did not pick a good dough for this. Not pick a good dough for this. This is a learning moment, right? This is a learning moment. So I'm looking at this. I'm not an artist. You want something written? I can write you an academic paper. I know what this supposed to look like. Unlike some people, though, I don't hunt them. Just saying it. I would never. So that's actually not bad. That's one chaos cookie. So if I do this again, I have a recipe for a cookie. It's in the Dungeon Meister cookbook that is to roll out and make little hexes, so you could do like a map, the map markers for your D&D game to be cookies. I will use that recipe for the cookie dough because that one is more cutout friendly, I guess. So let's see what we can do with some cookies here. Now that these are all room temp and sticky as fuck. Yes. We got a body on that one. Let's see if I can do a tail. Yep. Pretty much the whole dungeon master. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't say no more. Say no more. Yep. There's some jokes about the Venn diagram of that. That's just about one circle. So the rumor, anyway. I wouldn't know. I would not know such a thing. Alrighty. Family friendly and all. Exactly. I wouldn't know such a thing. So many jokes, so many comments. Is that okay with kiddo? Okay. Yeah, I've thought about it, but they're expensive. They are expensive. Someday I will have a kitchen situation that's not quite so in my living room. I hate having the open plan, the passion of a thousand suns. Okay, so I've got a body with some ears, tail. You just want to get me in trouble. That's what it is. Say saying naughty things for YouTube to go smite thee. I did use the Dune music this time instead of other stuff. Every time there's a website that I use that has free to use music, the licensing is there. It's very clear. I'm allowed to use it. It's a German company even. Um, and every time I use their stuff, I get a copy strike within 30 minutes of the stream being done. I'm like, fuck. Okay, you don't want to see those. I am going to wash my hands real quick so I can touch my oven and stuff. Anyway, no, 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 no. And behave. That's the first thing. If you believe that. I'm sure there's a bridge I could sell you somewhere. Okay, let me scoot this back a little bit so I can get into my oven. Turn on my oven. Give it a moment to preheat. Then we're going to try these first bits. Um, and then while those are in, I will try the next round. So these go in at 190 Celsius. If I were doing regular ones, it would be for 9 to 11 minutes. I'm going to do it at 9 minutes to check because they're different depths. And we shall see. Aren't they getting bigger? The cookies? The cookies. They don't grow because these are not yeast. Mhm. So what you see is what you get for the cookies. They will, they will flatten out. Um, so we shall pretend to decorate these. What looks would you be talking about? Whatever on earth would you be implying? All right, so into the oven with the first batch here. We're going to do, for professionals, they recommend not to do 2 batches at once, or if you do, to rotate things because um, ovens have hot spots. Stuff you bake grows because of the yeast, yes. So when you do things like bread that has yeast in it, you proof it, so you let it grow to a certain extent, and then sometimes you literally have to punch it back and then reknead it and things because you're trying to get those gluten bonds to form a certain way around the yeast, and you don't want the yeast to keep growing because then you have this big explosive mess without any nice texture on the inside. So you're trying to balance the growth versus texture, and the fuel that you're using for that is the sugar that whenever you make the dough, that's what feeds the yeast. And then you have to keep it a certain temperature when you're proofing because yeast is very particular. Too cold, it won't grow. Too hot, it dies. So yeah. But yeah, breads and rolls and things that have yeast in them grow. These cookies do not have yeast in them, so they do not grow. There's your science lesson. Water, water. Hmm. I only have 3 pans, so I wasn't sure how many pans this was going to take. I got out a roasting pan well, I need an extra. Forgot some timer. I'm hoping uh, if this continues, if I have the energy to keep doing stuff, I have some really nice holiday cookbooks. One thing I've never made is stollen. These are going to bake. Normally, you bake them for 9 to 11 minutes at 190 Celsius. I'm going to check them here in just about 7 minutes from now to kind of get a look at them. When you do cookies like this, they will look a little underdone. If you leave them in there till they look done, they will be tough as bricks. Um, so you have to balance: is it hot enough to cook the egg and salmonella without destroying the texture of the inside of your cookie, or turn it into a burn brick because we don't want to use them as hockey pucks. But I want to make a stollen. My kid won't touch it. My kid won't eat it, but I want some. Every year I get the little mini ones from Sainsbury's, which is not the same thing, but I want some stollen. So this year will probably be the year I will attempt to make the stollen, which, to be fair, is a very complicated um, recipe because it's got a lot of stuff going on in it. But we shall see. And yeah, stollen is a complex dessert. It's got a lot going on, and it's got the marzipan and the raisins and stuff. So, but I want some. When I was growing up, we only got it a few times, and it was always very late because my aunt would mail it from Germany, and then of course I think that it went via the Arctic Circle or some shit because it was always like January before it got there. It was dry as fuck, and I grew up thinking that I didn't like Stollen because it was this dry brick. That's and it wasn't until I moved to the Middle East I had a German neighbor and she made Stollen one year for Christmas, and I'm like, So that's what it's supposed to taste like. And then I moved to Germany, and I'm like, fuck yeah, this is supposed to taste like. So yeah, it was dry. It was desiccated dry. It was it was like sawdust, powdered sugar mixed with sawdust. It was not nice. Um, so um, it wasn't until I had moved to the Middle East, it was bad. But then I moved to the Middle East, and I was like, oh, so this is what it's supposed to taste like. I like this. And then I moved to Germany, and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, I like this. Mm. My kid's like, no. So we'll have to, I have to be forced to eat it all by myself. I've made scones. They are they're not like biscuits. And I think that's part of the problem is Americans treat things because it looks like a biscuit and it's not a biscuit. And there is a funny video of some English kids, secondary school kids, where they're fed American biscuits and gravy. And I would love to know where they got the meat for the gravy because I can't find that shit. Uh, American style biscuits and gravy. And the kids are looking at it going, that looks disgusting. But then they ate it and like, they stuff their faces with it, just face plant into it and just inhale. Yeah, Germans don't like American bread as a rule. American bread is very different from German bread. Um, I'm not sure how to describe this. I think part of it is just the type of flour. They use more strong flour than the regular flour. But there's just something. You also have a whole lot of different types of bread, a lot of different grains and things like that that go into bread that make it very different. One of the things I hope to sometime make is the big soft pretzels. I love the big German soft pretzels. I I make my German pretzels will look about like these Maud'Dib cookies, though they'll taste amazing, but they will look like they were braided by a child with no muscle control. But gravy here is not the same thing as gravy in the States. Gravy here is it tastes like if you had to describe the word brown, that's what brown gravy tastes like. It tastes brown. Yeah, pretzel nuggets could work, but there's something nice about having a big pretzel because I can make cheese sauce with it. The nacho cheese is good, but yeah, American gravy has something in it, and especially for breakfast gravy because they don't. They'll American breakfast gravy is the white gravy that you make with the spicy sausage and flour, and you can't get that here. It's not good. I can't make it go any faster. I guess I could attempt to make another more deep cookie for round two. Okay. It does taste brown. And British food just to me is not that stellar. Now I've had people go on about how great Sunday roast is. I'm like, I have been here a decade. I've never had it. I would love to, but it just looks like a lot of work for myself. And I'd love to see I try it. I saw someone making beef Wellington the other day, and I'm like, can't afford that shit, but I want it. German gravy, it depends. If you're making something like sauerbraten and it's got a little vinegar to it or a little bite to it, that's one thing. But yeah, but American British gravy needs something. It needs like some garlic or some onion or something, you know. But like American British sausages, they go on about how great bangers are, and I'm like, you know, hello. I don't like bangers either. I mean, they're okay, but if you're wanting something, an interesting meat, it's not it. You know, English gravy is incredible. It's not. It's not. It's like the difference between English mustard and German mustard. There is a difference. I remember listening to a Frenchman one time. I didn't catch most of what he said about because he was complaining about English food, but what I did catch because he was speaking really quickly, was that he hated what Brits called Dijon mustard because he's like, that's not real Dijon mustard. But after that, all I caught was he was just mad about British food. I'm like, you chose to live here, my friend. I think part of it too is we get very there's a memory with food. We remember, the first time we ate something or something we really like, especially holiday foods, because those are times we're gathering. There's usually fun memories or a big memory. My grandmother, my dad's mom, used to make hand washing time. Used to make this cake at Christmas time, and she took that recipe with her to the grave. I think about that cake all the time, and she wouldn't even have it. She wouldn't make it while we were there. She'd make it before we got there, so we never actually got to see it make it. So no clue what was in it. That was one thing she would be coy about, that particular cake. Okay. Well, fuck a doodle. You don't want to know what these look like. Oh my lordy. Ribbon sheet. We have a sheet cookie and hate this lower tray. Hold on a second, let me turn this oven off. That is a big old blob of cookie. That's the thing I was trying so hard to avoid. And this bottom tray sucks. The bottom, oh, kind of here. Jesus. I know I mentioned before, I think in the first stream I did when I made the cookies the first time, I don't like using the bottom rack on the screen because it doesn't come with the oven. It doesn't fit properly. It doesn't work properly. And I have two trays that are like a big old giant blob. Let me see if I can show you this. So I have giant cookie. Well then, um, that didn't turn out as I hoped. Giant cookie. Uh, I will attempt to decorate something, right? But yeah, instead of yeah, it blobbed hard. So learning thing done not to use this particular dough um for making this type of cookie. If I try this again, um, it'll be the other cookie dough. I can say I tried. This is the learning thing, right? Let's try a smaller mouse. Maybe a smaller mouse will do it. I don't know. But yeah, I have two giant cookies that are the size of this tray. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I did that. I have no idea why I just ate that whole thing. Yeah, because there's what looks like three cookies on one and like five conjoined cookies on another tray. Size does matter when it comes to decorating. So let's try. Um, we'll put two on that tray and we'll give it a go. Now let them cool. And so what's going to happen here in a moment, and when that pan cools just a little bit, is I'm going to pull out my cooling racks so we can move them. You need to make sure cookies are completely cool before we decorate, otherwise the icing will run off. And you cannot put them in the fridge to cool them faster. The reason you can't put them in the fridge to cool them faster is because the moisture will condense into the bottom because that's moisture condenses in cold and it's going to go to the bottom because gravity and end up with a soggy cookie. So we have to give those a few minutes, but they'll cool faster on a tray, which I have. And then I will turn the fan on over here and just start circulating a little air. And then I can see about what I'm wondering is I can, once they're cooler, I can cut them with a spatula for like the Spiceblow ones, and I can decorate those, and they'll be fine. The Maud'Dib cookies, I'm worried about being too soft to use cookie cutter on them post. Although it's a very dense cookie blob too. If they draw mice on the cookie blob and call it good, because why not? Why not? Those are very, very dense. But yes, see if I can get a better image. This is the why. That's what my cookies look like. That's a giant cookie. Hello. Buttons aren't the problem. It's cookie dough. I tried to be experimental and use the wrong cookie dough. So now we know what kind of cookie dough to use. It it probably does taste amazing. To be fair, my cookie dough, this cookie dough that I make, usually almost always turns out tasting amazing. I have no questions about how the taste will be, but I am concerned about decorating anything that resembles Moadib before the end. Or I could make a giant Moadib. It can be interesting. So scared myself. I went to grab that pan. Realized it was just in the oven, but it's aluminium, so it cooled really fast. So I'm gonna make this last glob here. And that one will be a special cookie. And yeah, that's all mess. This was an attempt was made, right? That's what this was. We'll try and decorate a giant Moadib. I think this one here that's got a little uneven that turned three into a giant one is probably my best bet for attempting that. I don't need that anymore. I can put that away. And oh, yeah. My little mini rack there. Get that one out. And then I had a second one. Where did that go? Ah. So many lessons are being learned, right? Lessons are being learned, and that's okay. Like I turned off the oven to pull that stuff out, and then I forgot to turn it back on, so that cookie's gonna melt everywhere too. Oh well. Such is life. Let me reset the clock for a few minutes. I'll check on it in a minute because I'm dumb. Yeah, like I said, this was a learning experience, and that's okay. I legitimately am okay with it. It's still cookies. I will still eat them, and that's okay. And I will still play with all of the goodies because why not? Right? That's what we have them for. Mhm. Well, yeah, We'll try to turn that into a giant Maldive. Because if you've seen from the beta weekend, that first spice trip, giant Maldive, giant terrifying Maldive was a very scary image. Ooh. Too much. Too much. Mm. If I can satiate the sugar for a minute, then it won't be so bad when I'm decorating and have all that icing and stuff out. Mm-hmm. All right, stop that. Stop it, Meg. Your diet. She says as she stuffs her face with sugar. My diet is sugar. I live on carbs. All right. Yep. So we did have a giant, scary desert mouse thing come out at us, and in the game, I'm as excited as I am for the game to come out. There's a part of me is a little sad. We're coming to the before the end of the beginning, and it's like high school, and promise, oh, we're all gonna be friends forever, and then 2 weeks later, you've done lost their number. It's gonna be a bit like that, but it's been a thing. I'm very proud of my involvement in the development of the game. I've never been involved with a game like this before, and yeah, I'm excited for it. And I'm sweltering from this oven, but I'm excited for it. It's been I think it's a love letter from the devs. They're just as in love with the lore as the rest of us are. They're survival game makers, so it was a good fit to make it into a survival game. Arrakis is harsh planet. If you saw the stats, it was like however many thousands died from exposure. Excuse me. So it's yeah, Maud'Dib cookies. I'm gonna move that out of the way. I'm gonna turn the fan on and aim it that way. My fan that I ordered the other day that came during the stream. And I'm not so worried about the noise now because I know this mic is pretty good at muting loud stuff. No wording module. You've been in the Discord too long. I think that's the thing. Is just we've I had gone in there initially before, and it was too busy. It was scrolly, and I backed out, and I came back in April of last year, and it's the open Discord has also been an evolution of player types and people interested and being excited about it, and building those connections and community has also been a process. And like when all the beta players, when all the beta weekend happened, and it was that influx of people wanting to play and people playing, it definitely changed. Mega deep cookies. They've talked about having some immersion foodstuffs. I don't think they'll make eating part of the survival dynamic because they've already got the heat and the water as part of that survival dynamic. They don't want to make it too brutal. But yeah, we could use some food stuffs because we have drinks. We have like the spice foods, the spice coffee and that sort of thing. Yeah, the weekend was busy. Um, the weekend was very busy, and I didn't spend too much time in that Discord because it was a lot of scroll, and I can't follow visually all of the scroll. So yeah, the dough got too warm. It was too handled, and these cookies also spread the way the fuck out. I have never had cookies spread like this before. These things are massive. That one's as big as it's bigger than my hand. Let's try a single cookie by itself. So that, but yeah, the two I just pulled out are, they also did the same thing. So the very thing I was so worried about happened with the butter making it spread. So now we know. Yeah, I think some immersion stuff. I have in my Dune cookbook. So I have planned. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get that Dune cookbook. I have planned some Dune foods coming soon because I think we've got there's some Tuscan chicken my kid wants, and then there's Hobbit food that we're gonna do, and then I was gifted not that cookbook. Hold on, a Dune cookbook. And in this cookbook, they've got like beef jerky, which I can't do on stream because it takes way too long. But I love beef jerky, and I can't get most commercial beef jerkies because I have a soy allergy, and it's a common thing. I wasn't in the Discord much either during the beta weekend. It was so crazy in there. The server gained like 20,000 members, and they all hit like all at once, and they were all asking the same question like 90 seconds after each other, and we tend to be pretty patient, but we all only have so much before we're like use the search function. But the Dune cookbook. So one of the things I was wanting to make in the Dune cookbook, there's a bread because I love the bread. See, and the other thing that I want to make with the bread, I have this reputation for being patient and nice. And I had to stop. I had to mute the Discord and step back because no, I was like, people are gonna die. No, this is I can't pronounce that word. It's light. It's a Focia, Focacccia. Yeah, it's yeast. So it's gonna be a little bit water for the yeast, sugar for the yeast, flour, salt, olive oil, rosemary, thyme, sage, and then sea salt. It does look pretty good. And then what I was going to make with it, because that's going to take a while to cook estrogen and stuff. There's this is an actual real food. This is a Turkish breakfast that is poached egg with garlic yogurt, and it looks good. And I want to try it. I like poached eggs, and I like Greek yogurt, so it could be a nice thing to try. So that's the Dune food. I have it planned in the immediacy. There's lots of okay, the baker in here, she needs to come over here and make this for us because mine won't look that good. But that is called venom cake. Here's a Harkonnen recipe. It says the Harkonnen venom cake is dangerously alluring as the infamous house itself. This decadent dessert features rich layers of red velvet cake symbolizing the house's blood-stained history, paired with a dark and sweet blackberry compote. It's all tied together with luscious cream cheese frosting, embodying the deceptive charm of the cunning House Harkonnen. It's really good. Spiced truffles, the chocolate truffles. So a lot of these look really amazing. Mentat Mindfold Mousse. So back to you. If you guys want to see some of these things, I will need help with the ingredients because some of this shit's expensive. Harkonnen blood oranges. I love blood oranges, but they have such a short growing season. They're ripe. There's only like 6 weeks, 9 weeks, something like that. Very short season where they're ripened. If you can ever try blood orange, if you like oranges, you'll probably like blood orange. It's a hybrid of some berries, I think raspberries and oranges. So it's a small orange, and the inside is that kind of blood red color. Cheesecake takes too damn long to cook. Some goulash, some tofu curry, which I can't have because tofu. There's Sardaukar fire beans. If you want some fiery chili, they eat spicy chili. They do. That's very Sardaukar thing to do. So there's lots of stuff in this cookbook that I want to make. I have the Fallout cookbooks still that I haven't done too much out of. I have the two Tolkien cookbooks. I have this one, and I have here's another one I know I have. Oh, there's the two D&D cookbooks. So we were just talking about food. So I have ideas, but we'll have to see how if they come out looking like my cookies. That's a whole nother question. I want that cookbook. It's on my wish list. This one's spread out too. It's a big round cookie, but this one will be my Spiceblow cookie. Yes. A little bit more. Um, but there's so many great things like in that Dungeon Master cookbook that looks really good. There's the D&D cookbook, and for the holidays, when we get closer to Halloween, I have the Necronomicon book that would be fun to make stuff out of. So we'll just have to see what comes, right? Such is the way of things. How are these cooling off? Is any? I'm afraid what they've done is caramelize. If you've ever made cookies, they're very oily. I don't know if these will decorate very well. Oh yeah, the butter isn't it? So we will try, but I'm afraid that any icing or anything is going to slide off. Pineapple, there's nothing wrong with pineapple. Pineapple has its place. Hmm. Kiwi pizza. Ugh. So let's talk about kiwi and banana pizza, and I'm like, I like kiwis, but I can't imagine them being on any kind of bread and heated. That doesn't sound nice, and bananas are disgusting. So yeah, no, pineapple pizza can be nice if done properly. I think that's where a lot of people run into the problem is the if done properly, which is kind of true for most foods. She says as she stands in front of the oozy remains of cookies. Come on, we shouldn't even check us. It's only a crime if the second time. I like kiwis. I like fresh kiwis. When we lived in California, fresh kiwis were easy to come by. We get just pints and pints of strawberries and kiwis and fresh veg every week. It was really nice. Don't try to get any meat while you're in California or milk, but um, they have this thing about you can't import a lot of things because they want quality control. So there was an earthquake, and suddenly milk was $7 a gallon because the two cows in California got scared and they stopped giving milk for a week. Okay, that will be a Spiceblow cookie, but the rest of these turned out really oily in the sense that the butter and the chocolate has kind of coalesced, and I'm not sure how these are going to work. So we're going to give those a few minutes to cool. I've got the fan going. And so I'm going to pull up my chair here and I'm going to sit for a moment in front of this boiling hot oven while we wait for these cookies to cool off. I'm willing to try that, but I need to wait for them to solidify a little bit because they're still kind of soft. And if you baked cookies, I'm talking about the oil in them, the butter and the chocolate in them has kind of risen, I guess. So we will give these a few minutes. I've got the fan blowing straight at those, and then we will give this a try. We will give this a try. We'll give it no. I remember growing up. We grew up in the Midwest, and I grew up kind of poor, so nice fresh fruit and veg was just not a thing. And my mom would get frozen strawberries and rhubarb, and rhubarb is very bitter. It's so everything you have with Kartoffel sind sehr schön. Kartoffels are very nice. Potatoes are nice. Um, you had to put sugar on it, and so we you grew up just putting sugar on our frozen fruit. And then I moved to California, and I remember my mom. We had come to visit. We had these strawberries. And I come up. She reached for the sugar. And I'm like, "Don't you even, try a fresh, good strawberry." I haven't had anything with rhubarb in it in a very long time. I've seen things with rhubarb that in recipes and things, but I'm very intimidated by rhubarb because it's a very particular thing to grow, and so it's a bit on the expensive side, and so then I'm very nervous about fucking it up. Cookies, these don't look like I wanted them to, but they'll still taste amazing. Kind of hard to break. Things with like a cheesecake. Um, Rhubarb, if you Google it, it looks a bit like red celery. Oh, not even celery stalks. It's pink stalks. They tend to be very tart. They make nice pies. When I remember being in Germany once visiting family, and we were talking about celery, and my cousin, uh, for Germans, they use the root part. That's the celery part. Don't use the top part. The Americans only use the top part. And so it was this big um, to do back and forth about what celery is, because she was like, "No, it's this thing," and I'm like, "No, it's this thing." And so yeah, sell rhubarb done properly, and that's kind of like stolen. It's very intimidating. It's something I feel like I need to work up to, using more particular ingredients, I guess. See, Americans only eat the top part, but similarly, you dice it up and you put it in soups and stews. Hello, Brad. How are you today? So I'm waiting for these to cool. Brad's wife bakes. Don't let her see what I've done in here, okay? Uh, because uh, this this is not pretty like what your wife does. This is an abomination to the eyes. It'll taste amazing, but it's not a pretty cookie. Mm. Over the holidays, Brad was posting all of these, cookies and cakes and cupcakes and sugar bombs that just look freaking amazing. He was taunting us with pictures of that and his dog, sweet little Kylo. Okay, so that's starting to solidify. These thinned out quite a bit. I can understand not wanting to do it on a schedule. There's a pressure to it. Um, Someone was asking me not too long back about the schedule for streaming, and I'm like, that sounds painful. I don't want to. I don't want to plan too far ahead because I don't want to commit to things I can't follow through with. Putting 3 things on the schedule the last 2 weeks was stress for me because I'm like, what if I can't do it? Because we did the cooking stream last week. We're doing this one tonight, and then on Thursday we're doing another podcast. So if you're looking forward to more stuff about Dune, we've got the podcast coming too. At some point, I will be streaming stuff. Yeah, there was a big patch for Conan today, big update. So I need to, well, not an update, not a content update, a big patch, I guess would be a good way to put it. And I need to wait for all my mods to catch up because I think the only one I saw so far was LVPR. So there won't be Conan in the next couple of days while we wait for that. Yeah, it's like this expectation of people sitting there. It's like a second job, and I'm like, I don't. It's meant to be fun for me. It's meant to be a way to relieve stress, not create more stress. And then there's that stress sometimes, especially when I was doing early on, of you're talking to yourself for 2 hours. I mean, I do it anyway, but it didn't feel nice. There's that part of you that didn't feel nice to do that. And okay, so the one that's gonna be the spice bowl cookie looks really good. And what I'm thinking about doing is, while it's still a little bit warm, so I'm going to. I forget what these called. The very fine round sprinkles, and these are more kind of crystalline purple sprinkles. But I don't know if you can't see really well in this, but that's spice bowl purple. So we're going to try to decorate a little bit these. I really seriously am thinking about doing the other cookie dough sooner. Probably it'll have to wait till it cools off a little bit. So it may be September, October before I get to do them. But I would like to try and make proper cookies that aren't, you know, scary looking. So, and I think as far as schedules go, like it's supposed to be fun and relaxing, and if we can get together as friends and hang out, that's great. But if there's this expectation of perform, someone the other day made a comment about the podcast. It's not someone I would normally listen to, and they make comments, but they said that they didn't like the podcast because it looked too rehearsed and too stilted and too held back and too wooden. And I'm like, that's me. I don't know what to tell you. That's that was just that's there's nothing scripted or anything about it. That's us being us, I guess, for lack of a better term. Now I'm going to put the heavier crystals in the middle, and then we'll try putting the other stuff under. It is two awkward people dancing in the nail line. There's a whole bunch of us staring at each other. I think the best was when we had Hefe on, and someone asked about the day-night cycle, and I generally couldn't remember, and Hefe couldn't remember. Him saying over and over, just you can say you're allowed to say, just say it, and we're like, I don't remember it either. And yeah, he dropped stuff and said stuff, and then I'm like, I can't respond to that. That's the authentic Meg. And Meg is awkward. Meg is, geez, fucking Christ, Meg can't open this container. It's got the little Ziploc thingy in it, and it's like industrial. I'm ripping my nails off. Can't get into this. No, that's just Meg. Meg's awkward. Meg gets excited and stutters and stammers, and Meg tries very hard to toe that NDA line. I believe in the NDA, and I believe it has served the game well to have the strict NDA that we've had. 30 minutes per cycle sounds about right. I think they came back and clarified that, but it does sound right. But we also pointed out that because you just notice it, you don't sit there a whole lot of times and wait for it. The only time that you're really sitting and waiting for it is if you're trying to get water from the plants. I don't have the patience for it. Um, I genuinely don't have the patience to sit there and do the water. People are like, you get tons of water. Yeah, you can. You can. I'm not gonna do it. Yeah, I ripped all my nails off. That's not a nice feeling. Um, you can, sit there with your dew sickle and do the thing. Obviously, there's a lot of water to be had there for you. I don't have it. Let's see. Yeah, the butter melted right out of these. See if I can. There's a big circle there. The butter came right out. Um, ooh, this would probably look good on a cream cheese frosting for cupcakes. Future stream idea, cupcakes. The spice must be coming. I'm trying. As a parent and as a teacher, you'd think I'd be better with the voice, but no, I'm not. Jesus, in Christ. All right, yeah, the Ziploc thing is coming off of that one. It's very purple. Okay, so I'll put some of the crystally ones around the edge, and I'm going to put these in the middle for the spice bloom, because before egg blows, it's a bloom, right? Where it starts to bubble up to the top. And one of the videos I did, we had some really good footage of that, where Kaya and I were waiting for the spice blow to go off before we tried to cross the sand there, because you don't want to get caught in it. They're quite explosive. I mean, if you're hearing the sonic boom across the lands, it's it's quite, yeah. An idea that this was good, but the chocolate chip cookie dough is a little dark versus the Dominickies here. Set those aside. So let's see if I can show you what that looks like. It was a big boom. It was a big boom. I'm digging the with element reference. Had to look for it. So we have our first. This will be my attempt at a spice milk cookie. You can't see all of the sprinkles. There's a lot more sprinkles on that around the edges, I promise, but it's not showing up very well against the dark cookie. So many lessons have been learned from today's escapade in cookie making. Let's see how cool these are. These are cool enough to do anything constructive with. Let's put that to the sides. That to the side. And let's see what we can do here, mayhem wise, right? Lessons were learned. Lessons were indeed learned. So that's still a little warm. I don't. It's the butter came right out of them. The butter came right out. I don't know if these will decorate. In my attempt to roll them out, I handled them too much. Big bada boom. Yeah. Fifth element. Yeah. But we learned. I'm wondering, though, a part of the problem now. I have had soft cookies before. What's going to happen is I'm going to try and cut these apart. It's not Florentine style. Is they're going to liquefy pretty much as if I start touching or handling them in any way. They're going to come right apart. So I can attempt to use the cookie cutter and make a Maud'Dib cookie, or I can actually. I'm going to attempt to put this one back. We're going to attempt to decorate this one. Is it cool yet though? It's still a little warm on the bottom. I'm going to give it just a few more minutes to cool. Not that I think it's going to make any difference, but I can say I tried. And then for the top, we have some options. I was going to try cookie cuttering some of the fondant stuff. But I don't think that's going to work on this, because I don't think I can. They're pretty wet. I don't think I can roll it out thin enough to use. So this will get used another time. Because here with my other making ingredients. I'm sure we'll find a use for it at some point. So that is not going to get used. I have some regular cake frosting, which we could attempt to use. I have glaze, which might actually be a better one, because I can just kind of pour it and direct it that way. And then if I glaze it, I could then use these on top, maybe. I will experiment on one of the smaller cookies. And then the worst case, I have to eat a bunch of sugar. Oh no. What will Meg have to do if she has to eat more sugar? Be hyper, I guess. I don't know. So we're not going to experiment on the cookies. So I have two here that was supposed to be Maud'Dib shaped. One's big square and one's a little kind of cookie Maud'Dib-ish if you squint one eye and half blind in the other. Um, so let's try some glaze on the first one. It says to pipe or to spread using a Worms knife. I have piping I've never used before, so I'm very this is just turning into a disaster from moment to moment. Is what it is. It says use warm knife. It's already pretty gooey. Got it. Go it. Get it. Uh, hmm. Let me see. The glaze is like really soft frosting at this temp. I'm afraid if I warm it, which I really can't, I don't have a dish microwave, but I'm afraid if I was to try warming it with like a Worms knife, it would liquefy what little liquidy cookie I have. So I'm going to attempt to put a little on one of these and we'll see what it does. Thankfully, my hands are mostly clean because this might get interesting. Okay. It's sticking to itself and not the cookie because, of course. Because, of course. Ooh, this might work. This might actually do something. We might actually get something resembling a mouse by the time we're done. If you think about a mouse cookie that your 5-year-old would make, that's what this is going to look like. Good as we go. One of the things I've been thinking about just kind of randomly was how to show more what I'm cooking because the way the lighting is here, even with the diffusion, it's still very bright. I can turn it down a little bit. Sure. Yep. That's as low as that goes. If I turn it off, though, I'm afraid it's going to be too dark. And this is already kind of dark over here, and yet there's a glare. Somehow I have this magic thing of having bad lighting. Not for lack of trying, but I've often wondered how to get the camera there without showing over there because that's where my son is, and he wants his privacy. That is a ring light sitting over there. This Paolo helped me set this up. Paolo was a photographer, and this has some cloth tacked up with thumbtacks over the lighting to make it go. I don't know how to do that with Restream. It's a ring light. Yes, I have a ring light. But the camera is sitting on top of the laptop, and the reason it's not on the ring light is because I need it closer. It's a wide angle. It's a wide angle camera to get the whole counter. But if I move it over there, it's going to show over there. So I have to be very careful what I'm showing. But if I don't know how to set up a second camera on this laptop. This glaze might do it. It's softer than frosting. Let me see. Might do it. No, no OnlyFans. No. Yeah, if I were doing it in Streamlabs, there's technically a way to do it. My problem with Streamlabs is I have not been able to get it to recognize the key from YouTube to be able to stream to YouTube and Twitch at the same time. It's one of the reasons I use it so much for the like the podcast, because one, it's easy to use, it's easy to have multiple people on it, but it also is very easy to set to more than one channel. Whenever I try to do it for Streamlabs, it's just like it keeps telling me invalid key. So it's a good idea. I will continue to poke at it. I know uh, there should be a way to do it, because I've seen people do it with like regular Twitch streaming, but I just need to figure it out. That is one glazed cookie. Mm. That is solid sugar. Oh, that was too sweet. So I have a brown cookie. And what I'm thinking is on the right, if I can do kind of the button tail, and then on the left, the head and ears. So we shall see. Right. I wash my hands and I stuck my fingers in my mouth. Food hygiene thing. In the meantime, I'm going to see if my kid wants this other cookie. Hold on. Hey, child, did you want this cookie, or do you want to wait for a plain one? This has a little bit of sprinkle on it, or do you want a plain one? I didn't catch my head. Did you want a cookie, or do you want a plain one? Plain. Plain. Okay. Give me 1 second, and I will find you a plain one. Yeah, and it is a little Nutella-like, but it's not the same consistency. It's very sweet like Nutella, though, but it's not hazelnut. Freaking love Nutella. I did tell you why I became a German citizen is because of Nutella, which I didn't know until later was ironically Italian. But well, I was going to become a German citizen anyway. But Nutella drove me for a long time back to Germany. It's true. It's absolutely true. So this cookie is almost toffee-like. It's got that kind of buttery consistency. Let's see here. Get my kid a cookie. If you give a child a cookie, they will ask for chocolate milk. Yeah, these are very gooey. They should slide right off of this parchment paper, but it is not. Well, I know. Our Nutella. I am a German citizen. And yes, I know it's Italian now, but to be fair, it was a combination of Mozart, which, funny enough, is Austrian, Beethoven, which is German, and Nutella, which is Italian. But and white wine, lots and lots of white wine, because every 7-year-old needs wine, right? So explain some things. Don't like the texture or the taste. Or the taste. Let's see. Okay, I have some feedback on the taste. Super gooey. The butter melted out of them. They didn't cookify. It's a separate ingredient. It's okay if you want a sugar bomb, but it's not cake. It's not cookie like. It's not the cakey cookies I wanted. Can I get you anything else? Texture and taste are bad with what I'm trying to say. And that's okay. I respect you're not wanting to have them. So okay, we've got that. We're gonna try and draw some cookies on some mouse on this cookie. Too much rice, too much. The butter, my attempts to keep them from spreading backfired 1,000% and did everything I didn't want it to do. So now we know. Um, I'm trying to think. Cookie. That's caramel, Upman's milk chocolate. We're gonna try and play with these a little bit. These could just ooze everywhere too. We This has all been a very learning experience. See if I can spread that around a little bit for a second. Yeah. I will attempt to do cookies again, probably in the fall when it's so hot. The reason I did my stream today specifically is because I was looking at the calendar, wanting a day that wasn't hot because it's just too warm in here and we don't have air conditioning. This is just turning into, a disaster. Let's just fucking go for it, right? We're putting the mayhem in the kitchen. We'll get that even. It's like, no, I'm not going to go to the edge. We'll make a big pile of the stuff in the middle, but you want the edges? Oh, no, no. Can't have that. Okay. Cookie mayhem. It is a little cookie mayhem-ish. All right, let's try this. I'm not an artist. Oh no, that is the same exact color. That's not gonna work. Of it. So on the cookie, this looks exactly the same as this does. Shocking. I know. Let's try a little dark chocolate. Even a German brand is Dr. Octor. I'm about to reach the stage of fuck it and call this project a bust. Project's a bust. Uh, so many lessons were learned. Let me go get this other cookbook right quick. And this is the Dungeon Master Picture because I think it is. So this is the cookie recipe because this has turned into a debacle. Yeah, I was hoping to use them around the edges, but I am not steady enough hand, and the edges are just way too uneven for me. Um, so this cookie recipe is to make specifically to make cut out cookies, and it is butter, cream cheese, sugar, egg, vanilla, almond extract, flour, baking powder, salt, and then gives you a recipe for the frosting if you want to do those. But these would be the little hexes. So if it's a recipe that is good for cut out cookies, that's probably what I need to be doing instead of attempting to mangle my most of the time delicious chocolate chip cookies. I thought it would be. I know. I thought it would be fun to try the chocolate chip cookies for texture and color because I thought they would fit Maud'Dib coloration and and the Spiceblow would have some color to it before you put the bloom would have the color to it. But yeah, this project did not work out as I hoped it would. It was a learning experience. So I'm going to save all the rest of these ingredients for another time. Um, so next cooking stream, not sure if I'm going to do one next week because we have the podcast this week and then the game goes live next week. I'm not sure if we're going to do another podcast between now and then or not, or if we're just going to pause. And then I know there's going to be a big land rush on the 5th. For people who were able to get their hands on an early Head Start key, Head Start package thing, words. I might have, might being an operative word, a key for the deluxe edition to give away on Thursday. Maybe. I will know more tomorrow. If I do get my hands on a key, I will be sure and share that so we can have a draw for that during the podcast. But it would only be one. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be like the beta keys where I had a whole bunch. It would be just one. But yeah, the queue is going to be very interesting on the 5th. I think I think they took all the data they have picked up from the beta, the closed beta that weekend, and all of the people moving across the networks at that time. I think that they've taken all that data, and this is not their first rodeo. They've taken that data that they've got. They've also got their own market data. You know, they're a big company. They can pay people to um, research those types of things too. I hope it won't be overly slammed, but the trick is to finding a spot that hasn't been picked up by everybody else. So if you're wanting to play with groups, you really need to coordinate. I don't know if when they're giving out world and siege names, because it's going to be a lot bigger than the beta weekend. Yeah, I'm one of those. I want to be optimistic, but reality says it could be a rough couple of days for a variety of reasons. And I think people who start on the 5th maybe should be wise to not get too attached to those characters, um, in case they want to play with friends and they can't get on. Or if you have friends starting on the 10th, then places can be filled up, and the days immediately following the 10th, then I think, from what I understand, they're not going to spin up sieges individually. I think they'd be spinning up whole new worlds. So a world would have to be hitting cap pretty fast and pretty consistently for them to spin new ones up, because the servers. I could be wrong. Medical exam. School's almost out for you. Yeah, there's a hardware limit on how many sieges you can have, and you could spin up new worlds. And I think would probably be a better option just to spin up new worlds at that point. But I'm not a developer. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a hardware person to know the answer to those questions. Um, but once they're spun up, they have to stay spun up. So they need to know consistently um, that those are going to be used. That hints at me maybe being a rough few days while they figure out where people are moving. Is everybody going to hunker down and wait for their friends to see if they can get on, or are they just going to hop ship and see if they can move on? And there's a whole lot of what ifs that could happen in there. So I wouldn't get too attached to any particular spot. If you want to go on just to play, do it. But if you're wanting to play with friends, be aware that you might have to make some adjustments and restart. But on a good, people were very worried. There was anybody who's been in the open NDA, the non-NDA Discord, has had this question bounced many times. Is the Head Start pay to win? No. 5 days won't make it matter. It won't matter if you get to play for those 5 days is still a question, and really in the scope of a survival game, because I think they keep thinking it's a PvP game. It's a survival game that happens to have PvP in it. And so keeping that mechanic in mind, I think will ease a lot of, I would hope eases a lot of anxiety, but there's a whole lot of very competitive people out there. Like, it's not that kind of game. It isn't. So 5 days difference is not going to be a thing. But they want to be the first or the best or whatever out to the deep desert first. Like, if you haven't played, you're not making it to the deep desert in 5 days anyway. Just saying. They've already talked about removing. This is something that came up in the conversation with Joel yesterday when I had a meeting with Joel and one of the devs yesterday. Some other creators have already posted videos about this. But scrap vehicles, there will be no scrap doctors. Um, there will be some bikes and buggies around, but not like what we saw before, because they don't want people skipping progression, and they get mad when they can't, when they get stuck. And it's like, well, you skipped all the stuff. Um, the bikes were meant to be if you got stuck out in something happened and you got stuck, but the VBT fixes that. So that was the VBT is your solution. The VBT is the most powerful tool. The vehicle backup tool, make it, use it, carry it all the time. It is the most powerful tool that you have. And if you use it consistently, you don't need those scrap vehicles. That you know, hopefully, guilds are patient and plan, and the VBT does not get eaten by Shai-Hulud. So worst case, you always have the vehicle, and the VBT is tied to you. So you could put your vehicle in it. You go stand on a cliff, throw it to Shai-Hulud, go make another VBT, and out will pop that vehicle. It's tied to you. So even if you lose the VBT somehow, the vehicle is still there. It's one of the gamey things, gamey concessions that they have given to the players is the vehicle backup tool. It is the most powerful tool. It is super. I mean, they showed in one of the videos, leave your bike outside, the storms take it. Uh, People talk a lot about the decay system for buildings being if the shields go down, whatever. Well, if you leave your bike outside, guess what? There's no shield on it, and the storm will take it. So it's put it in the garage or put it in VBT. Don't leave it outside. So if you're using the vehicle backup tool, you really don't need those scrap bikes or in the scrap buggy. Really, I've outside of us playing with it that weekend with the creator thing because we weren't supposed to have it and it was hilarious. And I don't use scrap vehicles. It's it was just easier to make my own. It lasts longer. If you take the time that you spend chasing down a scrap vehicle and actually going and making it, we've already got a vehicle that's going to last 5 times longer. But people are going to do what people do, I guess. There is a lot of fear about the base decay. They're like, what happens if I'm gone for 2 weeks? Well, it's meant to be a social game. Solo players you can, but there's that caveat of it's meant to be a social game. They want you to play with your friends. And yep, it will blow up your game. It will blow up your bike and it makes a nice boom sound. Ask me how I know. So yeah, it's there's lots of great things coming though. I think if people, how to put this could sound very contradictory, don't rely too much on streamers and content creators to tell you everything that you need to know. Don't fall for clickbait. Play the game. Really, that's the best thing you can do. There's no speedy way through. There's no power leveling through. Play the game. It's the best way to find the stuff. They've given you all the tools that you need. People talking about skipping. There was someone bragging about finishing Hydro Base in 15 minutes. I'm like, you didn't finish squat in 15 minutes. You might have found a scrap bike and left, but you didn't finish shit. It'll take you 15 minutes to run the lab and the wreck. You didn't finish nothing. And by skipping, I recommend that everybody run that tutorial, the extended tutorial, at least once. Yeah, I recommend everybody run that tutorial at least once to experience that extended tutorial walks you through everything you need to know for the game. And we said this back in the first podcast back in January. It walks you through everything you need to know about the game. It walks you what recs are and why they're important, what the labs are and why they're important. Here's the trainer, here's the contract board, here's how you build, here's how you do this thing. It walks you through all of that stuff to show you how to progress. And once you've got all the gist of all that, go forth and do stuff. The contract boards are around in trade posts, like the one you had in Griffith's Reach. If you played the beta weekend, there was one in Anvil. There's contacts there. Go play. It's it. That's really the best way to get around to progress. Yeah, um, Vermilius Gap is still pretty early game. You're still very low tier. You're just starting to find out water is important, and you never have enough. You think you have enough. You do not have enough. Yeah, you do not have enough. um, your strategies will change. There's no meta versus NPC at low tier or even at high tier. Just NPCs. PVE doesn't really have a meta because what you do in one camp won't work someplace else. What you do outside won't work in a lab. So you have to be very flexible. They did say they might be adding something to the hotbar, but they're not going to have loadouts. No loadouts because, as I've said many times before, and I know they have as well, you need to be deliberate about your actions. If you're going to go to a lab, then gear up for a lab and that enemy type. We don't need to carry everything but the kitchen sink with you. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people with using different online sites to assemble their character, and it's like you forget how long it's going to take you to actually get all those points for starters. It's going to take you a long time. uh, if you're going to go loot things, do you really need to carry 15 blood bags and your blood extractor? If you're going there for water, sure. But do you need to carry a Dew Reaper and 5 Litter Johns? No. Blood, yes. Water, eh. If you're going for a specific loot, some of it accumulates fast. I know water, yes. But do you need to carry a Dew Reaper and 5 Litter Johns into a lab? And the blood bags. You won't have any space in your inventory to carry loot out. So they're not going to do loadouts. They also said I'm a loot goblin, but they also said that they don't want people to be doing PVE stuff and then someone decides, I'm going to go over here and PvP and just hit a button and all your stuff changes. They want you to be very deliberate about when you leave the house, what stuff are you taking with you? Whatever, I have a certain loadout I carry for everything, a certain amount of darts, a certain amount of health kits, certain weapons and tools I carry all the time, but there's some I leave at home for some things and some I don't. So you have to be thinking about it. It's a survival game, and the environment is part of the dynamic that is against you all the time. And I'm kind of liking that. I wish the environment was a little tougher. It's not an RPG. Some people are want like multiple bars they want three hot bars. I'm like, consoles will have a hard time with that. And two, no, it's not an RPG. Not that I get to make a decision on anything, but I'm like, I agree with the devs on this one. We don't need 3 hot bars. We just don't. Mm. I'm looking at these cookies going, what did I do wrong? They're very sticky. The butter came right out of them. That's what I did wrong. That's absolutely what I did wrong. Well, fuck a doodle. Cookies are a bust. Sorry, guys. We talked about this. Came up with Hefe about the desert will humble you because he's like, there's nothing like being mid to top gear and then realizing that you forgot to bring water with you, and so you're out there sucking on plants because you didn't plan ahead. I hope Joel does not upgrade the backpack. Um, I there's times I drop loot, but it's usually when I drop stuff, it's usually scrap metal. It's stuff I can get everywhere, or half busted, bike treads and things like that. I will drop those before I drop usable loot. I like the hotbar where it is right now. I like that it's deliberate. You have to be mindful of it. You have to think about what's on there. I hope that I hope the backpack doesn't upgrade. You want to carry more stuff? Get a get a vehicle inventory, and the cost, the balance of that is you can't put it in the BBT. Same reason you can't put a buggy in the BBT. You want high inventory potential? There's risk. There's risk and reward, and the inventory the game is meant to have that balance. You can't have everything. There's a cost and time and carryability or whatever. There's a drawback for everything. It's not an easy uber meta. We find that the great uber weapon that you really want, the blueprint. Well, you can use it that one time. If you want it again, you got to go farm it and hope you find it again. See, I'm a still suit person. I don't carry armor with me unless I know specifically I'm going someplace that has been difficult for me, and then I'll wear armor and carry a litter john. But I won't carry both. I won't carry both because if I'm going a place that's going to kick my ass, I'm going to bring back loot. But yeah, podcasts um, for and I agree that that is a great mechanic because it they want people going out and engaged in the map. There are some things like early on the Emperor's Wings will always appear in that lab. Always, always, always. The Caliph Drinker will always appear in the wreck. Those are static. But as you go out in the world, it starts becoming more RNG. And you probably, if you found any, what I'm talking about, you can go back to the box and it's like it's something different. And so if you're wanting something specific twice, you're going to have to catch it. And Emperor's Wings are the goat. I don't care what tier I am. I don't care where other stuff I've got. I've got the Emperor's Wings on. It's great for my vertigo because it's not super vertical. It's a gentle ride. All this. Some people like the sugar wire and the stuff and the zip zip zoom zoom, and I'm like, I can't. I would love to, but I can't. So the Emperor's Wings is a nice compromise for me. And I like that you have those options because there's different belts that do different things. Yep, there is the different litter johns are options. Some of them hold more, but then they take up more volume in your inventory. So you're having to find the balance. How much water? If you're going out to go get water with a dew sickle, then carry the big one that uses lots of volume. But if you're going to run around and do stuff, it's sucking up volume. You can't really get as much loot. So you have to which one is more valuable to you. There were no scrap thopters in Haga Basin South. There are wrecks in Haga Basin South, but there's no scrap thopters in Haga Basin South. Um, those wrecks are farmable. You should farm them. They have stuff in it that you need. They I know I drive my teammates up the wall because I'm like, oh, I found a purple one and I'm going to stick it in the box. The problem with that is sometimes I end up with like a whole ton of something because like every time I pass it, I'm like, farm it. So I have got to learn to manage my inner loot goblinness. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with boxes full of shit I don't use. I need to go figure out the sell shit. There is a market. Someone might buy it. Someone might buy it. So it's definitely worth it. But for the podcast on Thursday, so there's a stream tomorrow. So we'll see what the devs have to say for the stream tomorrow. They're going to be talking about the deep desert, so, some in-game-ish stuff that maybe they'll talk about the market then, because that's sort of in-game-ish stuff. We didn't have access to the um, hubs for the open window. Oh, um, I think the exchange is world bound. That was something else they talked about. The reason it's world bound and the reason it was inaccessible to us, it's only available in the hubs, it is a deterrent to bots. So not only do you have to go from your siege to to the hub, that's server hopping, and it becomes a deterrent because there's a pay gate to get into the game because it's not free to play. So you had to drop $50 or more to get into the game to start, and then you have to manually. You can't do auto do stuff from your house. You have to go somewhere, and part of that mechanic is to deter bots. Where there's a will, there's a way, but it's gonna deter the lazy ones. Let's put it that way. So hopefully we'll get to see more about how the exchange works. But yeah, we'll never get to pay your taxes and stuff from the ease of our living room. We'll always have to go do that because they always want that extra step there. Same reason that the mechanic for shifting sands impacts the Haga Basin. Even though the Coriolis wipes the deep desert, it moves the resource nodes in Haga Basin harder for bots to manage. So those are little things to deter the lazy bot writers because there's always going to be somebody. But there's a dev stream tomorrow, and then the green face. Uh, yeah, it's they've tried. I mean, there's always that worry with games that are MMOs. It's not an MMO in the sense that a lot of people think it is, but there's always going to be somebody who tries to monetize it in some weird way. And this will deter the lazy ones. There's always going to be somebody. There's always going to be somebody who takes it upon themselves to make a bot that does this game in particular. But um, we can hope it minimizes it. So DevStream for the Deep Desert and in-game stuff, Iggy was very careful to say it's not about PvP. So it's going to have some other stuff, I guess, some showing some other things. And then podcast on Thursday, which will be someone had requested pretty much like a giant FAQ type podcast because we have so many. We had 10,000 people hit the door the other day, not understanding a lot of Dune lore or not understand. They might be Dune nerds, but not played survival games before. So there's this combination of new players to this game. When whatever reasons, we're going to be going over some FAQ stuff. I'm hoping they'll drop another video or two because we've got the Vintage Desert, we've got the Trooper, we've got the Mentat. So we just need the sword and the Planet Holiday stuff. So if they drop those, we'll have some nice videos to talk about. It is nice. I mean, it's we haven't seen any visual content from Dune since the miniseries, and Sci-Fi did that, so it was kind of the budget was. Um, duping is not going to work the way they think it is. I'm going to leave it at that. Dupe fields are exploits. No, no, they're not. Um, but 2000, the miniseries was a long time ago. It was good and it's well written. It hasn't visually aged well though. But then neither is 1984. The David Lynch movie. There was drugs in Mexico when they were filming that. Oh no, I totally understand you, but there's people have some very interesting preconceptions of how the game is. James McAvoy, does that man age? He doesn't age. It's disgusting. He looks the same. He's barely aged since then. You look at him and go, it hasn't been 20 years. Yeah, I had to mute the official Discord. I lost the patience and I had to end up having a conversation with one of the mods. So um, it's yeah. Um, it has people with a lot of preconceived notions about how the game will be based on clickbait titles, and that's what I'm saying. Don't don't follow. Because it sounds contradictory. Don't follow a creator. Go play the game and have your own experience doing it. You know, take everything everybody says about what they love about the game or what they hate about the game or everything. Take that with a grain of salt and really form your own opinions about. And it's okay if you don't like it. It's okay to say. People get really upset when you say it. You don't have to buy it if you don't like it. They're like, "Well, you should make the game I like." No, they don't. They can't please everybody, and by trying to please everybody, they will please none of us. I don't go into the Rust Discord and say I want more building PVE. They're not gonna do it. I don't go to Fortnite and say I want to build big castles. They're not gonna do it. It you know it's and that's okay. I don't have to play it. I don't like battle royale games. I'm not expecting them to change into something that they're not. Just for me. Yeah, it's like was it Joel or Hefe came into the open Discord not too long back because someone was going on about it's a PvP game, and we're like, no, it's a survival game that happens to have some PvP in it. And he came back and it's like it's not a PvP game, and he said it's really frustrating when people keep calling it that because that's not what it is, and they're going to be very disappointed if they have the conception that it is a PvP game. There's PvP in it, but you don't have to PvP. And mocking people who don't want PvP in it is not helpful. You're not going to encourage people to try PvP if you're nasty to them. Just saying. I want PvP. You guys have seen me try to mash buttons in the stream, try and imagine me. I mean, you guys have seen my combat when I did like the rec video. I'm not. I'd be like that scene out of DS9 when Cork was supposed to duel the Klingon, and he throws the bat'leth down. It's like, kill me. You're twice my size. There's no fight here. There's there's no fight. Kill me. I'm small and soft. There'd be no fight. That would be me in PvP. It's just a giant Maud'Dib chasing you into the sands for Shahaloud to eat you. But yeah, it's a busy time. I don't know when I'll do another cooking stream. When it's cooler, I will reattempt cookies. I have not had this much mess with a cookie before. Like exactly the first spice vision is pretty creepy. Um, the giant the Bene Gesserit. Um, I don't think I've ever made bad cookies before. I don't know how to feel about this because these are all going to go in the bin. That's how bad they are. But this is a good time to wrap it. We talked way too long, but yes, Dune stream tomorrow with the devs. I hope to. I know, story of my life. She tried. Um, I'm going to try to co-stream, restream thing on Twitch, and then we're going to do the podcast. I'm hoping everybody shows up for that. It'll be fun. I've got a lot of good things planned. Maybe I'll have a key to give away. Maybe watch the space. So thanks for sitting with me while I stare at these very sad cookies. I was hoping that they would somehow magically change into something, and I'm looking at them. I know that's the most American thing someone said to me all day. I'm almost insulted. Let's get a participation trophy. I'll put it up behind my screen when I'm doing my OnlyFans stream. Right? That's what you're saying. But yeah. Anywho, thanks everybody for showing up and hanging out while I mangled what should have been nice cookies. So thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out, and I will catch everybody Thursday at the latest. So have a good night. Bye bye. Let me see if I can find the thing here.